Where Locals Hike by Kathy and Craig Copeland. This was published in 2005. This book is a second edition book. If you've been following me on this channel, you'll know I love gardening and mushrooms because those are the types of books I have reviewed thus far. But I must confess that my love of hiking probably surpasses my love of gardening. Hence you will be seeing reviews for hiking books as well. This is my first one, and I will admit is going to be very audience specific because it is a book on hiking in the West Kootenays. And so how many of you are actually from the West Kootenays? It is a husband-wife team, and they review 50 trails that are mostly in the Selkirk and Purcell Mountain ranges, both in Canada and the US, but mostly in Canada. I've actually done a number of these trails myself and can highly recommend them. So I'm going to give a review of their review. They provide good photographs of each hike. Nice to have colored pictures. And yep, you come across grizzly bears around here. For each trip they give the location and how long the trip will take, the elevation gain, and their opinion of the difficulty and access rating. They start out with their opinion, like for this one, isn't this an amazing planet? That's the sentiment behind all the enthusiastic exclamations of wonder that hikers blurt out when they emerge above tree line and see the double waterfall pouring off Macbeth ice field. See photo on inside back cover. There, that's Macbeth ice field. The entire setting is powerfully wild, so recently glaciated that it bears the still fresh fingerprints of creation. Then for every hike they tell exactly how to get there by vehicle and then on foot for the trail itself. Very useful information. I don't know if there is a principal author, but they are very creative with their writing. At least that's what I appreciated. For example, the ascent from the lake's roadless west shore is very steep, but nowhere near vertical. The trail is often narrow, occasionally rough, but always adequate. Hiking it is merely strenuous. The only risk is blowing out your aorta. Athletic fitness, resolute determination, a light pack, and an early start can whittle this trip down to a challenging day hike. Reaching the glacier, however, is anticlimactic. Now, does that not keep you on the edge of your seat? If you're a bag of snacks, pick another trail. This one's a huffer. Constructed in the 1920s to service mountaintop lead and silver mines, it tilts relentlessly skyward. The miners sought fortunes, not recreation, so the trail is strictly business. But if you're as fit as a prospector, you'll enjoy the challenge and find it rewarding. Day hikers who start early can emerge above tree line before lunch, then devote the afternoon to alpine relaxation or exploration. Backpackers will appreciate the superb Silver Spray cabin. Just be glad you're not carrying a shovel, pick, bedroll, and several cans of beans, all strapped to a wooden pack without a hip belt. So see how I appreciate it? It's more story-like than factual. I really enjoyed that. So they've provided a couple of maps. Kokanee Glacier Provincial Park has a lot of the trails in it. And then Valhalla Provincial Park. And then Purcell Wilderness Conservancy. I have all these hikes, and trust me, they are amazing. If you ever get a chance to come out here, these are spectacular hikes. Now I'll read about the authors. Kathy and Craig are dedicated to each other and to hiking in that order. Their second date was a 32-kilometer or 20-mile day hike in Arizona. Since then, they haven't stopped for long. They've trekked through much of the world's vertical topography, including the Himalayas, Patagonian Andes, Pyrenees, Swiss Alps, Scottish Highlands, Dolomites, Sierra Nevada, North Cascades, Colorado Rockies, New Zealand Alps, and canyons of the American Southwest. In 1989, they moved from the U.S. to Canada so they could live near the Canadian Rockies, the range that inspired the first of their refreshingly unconventional guidebooks. While living in Vancouver, British Columbia, they explored the Coast Mountains and the North Cascades, then wrote hiking guidebooks on each of those ranges. Later, while living in a cabin on Kootenay Lake, they researched and wrote 2 more hiking guidebooks, this one on the West Kootenay and the other on the premier trails of southern British Columbia. Kathy and Craig have since returned to the Canadian Rockies and now live in Canmore, Alberta. Their desire to hike, however, keeps them traveling constantly. For example, they migrate each spring and fall to the high desert canyon country of southern Utah. Their guidebook on that sensual otherworldly landscape promises to be especially stimulating. So upon going to their website, which is hikingcamping.com, I discovered that they actually have a 3rd edition of this book. And like I read, they have a number of other good books that they've written. So I really hope I can get my hands on some of these other ones. Anyway, good stuff. I really enjoyed reading this book and have gotten inspired for more hiking treks in my neck of the woods.